Hello everyone, welcome to a video tutorial on how to set up a leaderboard in Easy List View. So to start, I'm going to create a new scene, and in a scripts folder, create a new C# script and name it something like Leaderboard, and open it up. As we can see, we have our IDE. So to begin, we need to create a variable of type list view. And this is our view that is a component and will be on a GUI object. And we can just drag it in, and so we can just name it list or something. Now this system uses observable collections to keep the in-game list up to date. And to access that, you need to include a new namespace. So using system.collections.object model, and from here we can access the observable collection. So we have to create a new variable of type observable collection. You can see we have it there, and we have to pass in a type that it will store, and we want it to store an iList model, and we can just name it collection equals new collection. The reason we have to do iList model is because that is what the list stores data on. All models you create, all data models, have to also inherit from that iList model. So next we are going to create that model. So let's create a new class, public class, and let's name it something like Leaderboard model. And it has to inherit from iList model, like I said. Okay, so now we want to create the data that we want to store. So as a leaderboard, we want, what can we have? Name, score, and date. Okay, so public string name, and it has to be a property. Any data that we want displayed in our list has to be a property, which means it needs the get set at the end of it. Okay, and so we need to do public int score, and as a property, and public string date get set. In fact, I'm going to change that date so it's actually stored in a couple of ways. So we're going to leave that date there, and we'll create a new member, not a property, of type datetime, and this is basically the Windows class that stores information on dates and times, as would be expected from the name. And we're just going to name it entry date. We can do that get set. And in date, instead of having get set, we want to keep it as a property, but a getter only. So to do that, we get rid of the set, and we go get return, and we want to basically turn our date into a string, into a readable format. So to do that, we go entry date dot toString, and here we have a bunch of options that we can format our date into. So we can format into D, which is the simplest one, and that would do, if you're in America, that would do month, day, year. If you're in the UK, it would do day, month, year. I don't know what the rest of the world uses, but yeah. And so I'm going to do that. Right, so next we have to set up our scene. So to do this, we're going to, in our scene, right-click the hierarchy and go to UI scroll view, because we want our list to be scrollable. And we're going to move it to somewhere that looks good. So I'm going to put it up here and just sort of have it take up about half of the page. Half of the screen, sorry. Page. Okay. And then move that down to there. And there we go. That's our scroll view nice and set up. I'm going to disable horizontal because I don't want there to be a horizontal scroll. Only up and down. So if you go on scroll view, click off horizontal. And now what we want to do is go into viewport and then content, and we want to drag our list view component onto that, and that will add a vertical layout group as well. We also should do a content size fitter, which will basically lock this content object to the size of the list. So if it goes off the page, so will the content object. And to do that, we want to go to our content size fitter and go vertical fit and set it to minimum size or min size. And that will make sure that it's the right height constantly. So next, we want to set up our template, as I like to call it. And to do that, we're going to right click our content, go to UI and make a panel. And we're going to find it. Width will be the same as our list view, as our scroll view, sorry. We're going to make about height 32, and we just want to stretch it right to the end there. Get it about right, so I reckon that's probably about 780. Might make that a bit bigger, 48, and I'm going to change the color so it's a solid dark grey like that. Okay, and we're going to name this something like template. So next we want to drag our list template onto our template object, and this will allow us to use this template as part of the list. If we wanted our list items to be clickable, we could drag a button into here, and we do. We want to be able to click on our entries. So all we have to do is add the button component to it, and that's that sorted. So next we just drag our button component onto the list view button, and then we find our list view and we can drag in our template onto that. And that's our template done. I'm just going to save this quickly and name it Leaderboard. There we go. Next we need to add our text. So note that we have name, score, and date. These are the three variables that we want represented in our entry, in our list. So if we create our text, so where is it? It's name, score, date. Create text. I'm going to make it white so you can see it, and I'm going to name it name. Note that the object name in Unity has to be the same as that in the script. So note that it's capital N name, and we can see up here capital N name. It has to be exactly the same, else the list view won't recognize it as the property holder, and so it won't set the value onto it. Okay, so next we are going to I'm just going to set the text to name just temporarily, and I'm going to set it all up, make it look all nice. Move that over here. Push that there-ish. Like that. I'm also going to make it the same height. I think it was 40 I did. Yep. So I'll make the text slightly bigger too. There we go. Name. And then I'm going to move this until about the middle. Score. And we have to name the object score as well with a capital S, because that's what it was named in here. And date with a capital D, because that's what it was named in the object model. Okay. And we move that over there. So we can also use this template as a header if we wanted. So I'm actually going to do that. I'm going to move our scroll view slightly down, about there, and I'm going to duplicate our template and name it header, and then remove our list template and our button and put it in the hierarchy above our list view, and set it to about minus 28. That'll look a bit nice. There we go. So now our template is dragged onto our list view, and we can disable it. Actually, we should probably drag it outside of our scroll view and then disable it, because what will happen is when a new instance of our template is created, it will be force enabled, and it will also force enable the default template if it's in a child of the list view script. So that's why you should have it outside. Okay, so next we can do more scripting. So firstly, actually, we should add our leaderboard script onto the same it doesn't have to be on the same object, actually. It can be anywhere, but I like to put it on the same object as the list view just for sort of tidiness sake. And we drag the list view component onto our list of the leaderboard. Okay, so now we can go back into here, and we have to do some work with bindings. So in start, we want to go list.set binding, and this will basically ask us to input our collection, our observable collection, and so behind the scenes it sets up all the events to keep everything up to date with that script. Okay, so next what we need to do is set up our click, our on select. So if we go list dot item selected, we plus equals and create a new method. And so this method will now be called every time an item is clicked. And we also should, for memory's sake, stop that whenever our script is ended. So we want to go list.item selected minus equals our method. We do this for memory leak's sake. So if we didn't do that, it's very possible that a bit of memory linking the event to that method would leak out of the program if we didn't remove that link. That's why we do that. So next, we're going to actually add some elements to our leaderboard. So to do this, we're actually going to create a little variable just as a test and do entry count and do like 20. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to do a for loop for each entry count. We'll just go through that and add a new leaderboard model. So we'd have to go collection.add new leaderboard model, and then we want to set the values. So entry date would be, I'll just do datetime.today, I think, so that's slightly easier. Datetime.today, and name will be something along the lines of user, and then we'll just do plus i.toString. So that way it would be, as we go down, user 1, user 2, user 3, user 4, user 5, blah, 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 blah. And our score will be a random value, so using the random.range between 1 and 9,999. And so that should be everything set up. I'm also going to, I'll show you this, and then I'll do the item selected. So we run it. As you can see, we have our items with our random score and our today date, because that is today. It's the 12th of the 6th, 2019. There we go. And that's all up to date. So, I don't know why that was over there, but sure. Next, what we can do, and this is dynamic. So if you wanted to add new elements or remove elements at runtime, you can do, and it will be kept up to date. The in-game list will be kept up to date. That's why we use observable collections, so that can happen. So next we're going to do the lists on selected thingamajiggy. So we're actually going to create a new bit of text in the UI just so we can see what we have selected. So we're going to start it with saying nothing selected, and we're going to move it over here. Get a look. Nice. Oops. Like that. Nothing. Oh, and we need to make it white so you can see it. There we go. Nothing selected. So now in our leaderboard script, we want to create a new variable of type text or Unity UI text, and you'll have to include the Unity engine.ui. I'm using a plugin that allows it to automatically detect any classes that have a namespace, so I'm not using it or add it, but you might have to do it manually. Text, and we're just going to name it selected text. And so we're going to go into Unity and we're going to set it. And just drag our new text onto that. And so what we're going to do, we need to do a few checks first. So first thing we want to do is we want to check if our model that's passed into our selected item is null. And if it's not null, we want to do nothing, basically. So if model is equal to null, return. So that stops it from going any further if our model is nothing. Then we need to check if our model is of the correct type. And we can do this with, I think it's C#8's feature, where you can literally just go if model is, and then you put in a type. And our type we want to use is leaderboard model. And then we can name this as a variable. So we can name it entry. And if our model is of that type, it will create a variable of that type, and we can use it below here, and this block will run. So now what we want to do is go to our selected text and name it .text equals entry dot name plus, and then so that'd be like user zeros entry, like that. And then we can do else and do something like, we can make it set as something like nothing selected, as is the default. Okay. So now if we play, we should be able to click on one of these items and see that, yep, there we go. The issue there is that the text is actually overlaying the scroll view because I forgot to do something. So I'm going to push that over there actually, and hopefully I'm going to move this up into this corner as well, just so nothing sort of affects anything else. So that should be okay now. So now if we play it, there we go. Yeah, now that's offset, but you know, let's fix that. The header, and we'll move that over there. Cool, there we go. So now we can select an item, and as you can see, 0, user 0's entry, user 3's entry, user 7's entry. We can scroll down, user 19's entry, there you go. So we can add, I'm going to go in and add 50 and show you how that you can, just using the Unity default scroll view, that you can scroll through these lists. And it's a bit slow because I haven't set up the sensitivity, but you can drag it with your mouse as well. As you can see, we just go on and on and on. And the date's today because that's what it was set to, and we have a random score value and the user. So we select user 31, user 31's entry, user 44, sorry, user 44's entry. There you go. That was how to set up a leaderboard using easy lists